Let's face it, the regular media is a joke. It didn't used to be that way. It used to be contained by people that got the facts before they reported it. Well, we are bringing that back. This is the Brooks Report Live. We are the true voice of Southeast Texas. Breaking news, weather, traffic alerts, events, Q&As. If it's happening in Southeast Texas, we are there. This is the Brooks Report Live. And now your host, Adam C. Brooks.
Hey guys, thank you for joining us here on the Brooks Report Live. I am your host, Adam Brooks. If you would, put a 1 in the comments if you're watching us live, put a 2 if you're watching the recorded version, and like always, let us know what city you're watching us from. Please be sure and share this broadcast. Invite your friends, tag a few friends in the comment section if you will. Help us grow here on the Brooks Report Live, and stay tuned for the show. Thank you guys for joining us.
Hey, brother. I'm sorry if you guys
can hear you.
Okay. I apologize if you guys couldn't hear me, but let me know in the comments if you can hear me now. I'd really appreciate it. We're joined here with Eric Graves, meteorologist. You know him, unless you've been living under a rock for the past 5 years. He's known as the GOAT of meteorology for Southeast Texas. So thank you. And I'm really blessed to have you on here to talk about Hurricane Francine. And I just want to tell the guys watching right now, if you know somebody in the pathway of Hurricane Francine, tag them in the comments below right now, if you will. Just tag them if they live in Louisiana, because Eric's going to kind of help us navigate through this thing and tell us what to expect as far as wind speed and some of those other things. So, Eric, let's take it away. I've actually got a map because you actually put out a post here just a few moments ago, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you, because I was like, man, people need to be aware of what's happening here. So if you will, kind of introduce yourself to the public, let them know how they can find you and follow you and that sort of thing, and then we'll start talking about weather.
Yeah, so right now I'm Eric Graves, as you introduced. So right now we have the northern eye wall that's just starting to move on shore near the Lost Lake area, kind of about 15 miles south Morgan City, and that's been the landfall target for about 48 hours now. We had that shift toward the west that put it near the Jennings area briefly, and we thought the models would probably switch back to the east as it got taller and could fill the southwest and northeast flow. Anytime you have a trough digging down from the northwest, you're usually going to have eastward trends in that modeling guidance. Finally locked in on the southeast Louisiana coast, and now we have a high-end Category 1 hurricane, 6 miles an hour shy of a Category 2. That had been the forecast range for about 48 hours now. They started out as a tropical storm. We knew this would probably be a high-end Category 1 to low-end Category 2. The past 2 hours that I actually broadened as it interacted with the trough to the northwest. It's taken on some extra tropical characteristics. It's a good thing in terms of wind speeds. They'll die down about 5 to 10 miles an hour, but it will actually increase the storm surge a little bit more because you have a broader circulation. You can think of it like if you stick your hand in a bowl of water and you swirl that around versus you stick in one finger and you swirl that around. The broader and larger that circulation is, the more it's going to disrupt the water and bring it northward.
Okay, so let me bring up this post because you were talking and referencing the eye, the large eye. How does, is that going into what you're saying about about all that, does that make it have a greater impact or a lesser impact?
So the more an eye constricts, the faster the wind speeds are, kind of like a figure skater that pulls his or her arms inward. They spin faster, but so you get a broadening of that eye, actually reduces the wind speeds a little bit, but it also increases the area that's impacted. That's why we do feel that even a little bit east of New Iberia, Louisiana, will feel some direct impacts from the western fringe of that eye wall.
Okay. And so as your predictions, and I've watched this unfold, you and I went live a couple of days ago, and man, you really hit the nail on the head with this storm. I mean, really early on before anybody else. And that's what I like about you, because I kind of do the same thing. And, you know, when you just have that gut instinct, or you just know, you know. But tell me about what about this storm that people, I don't know, I guess we just weren't expecting it. I mean, did they think it was just going to fizzle out? Was it the weather conditions? What happened there? Because, you know, I know before we were talking about, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 there, and then like 3 of them disappeared, or they conjoined, or what happened there?
Could you say that again, Adam? You said 2 or 3 things that kind of went on together.
Yeah. So there was like a couple of tropical disturbances out there that we were talking about a week ago. And I guess those just kind of fizzled out and went away, or what happened there?
Well, with Francine, this was basically, you had 2 areas of interest in the Gulf, and then you had one in the Gulf, one in the northwestern Gulf, and you had one in the Caribbean. They ended up actually 91L, which is now Francine, merged with 90L, which was what brought the rain to southeast Texas for about a week. When you remember when the rain lingered on for about a week, that was from that weak surface low. Never developed into anything really tropical, but that energy, a little bit of spin, it's called vorticity, that southern portion of that, the branch of the trough, helped to kind of get some spin going in the southern Gulf of Mexico near the Bay of Campeche, where it's notorious for spinning up hurricanes really fast there. And I was actually a little bit surprised it took so long to get going, but it did end up in that high-end 1 to low-end category 2 range, just shy of category 2, which we expected for about a week.
Well, so here we are. I think we're towards the end of the season. Correct me if I'm wrong. Do you expect any major threats happening in our area for the rest of the season?
We're moving into the time of year where you start to get fronts. When you get a front, even a weak front, so the Western Gulf hurricane season usually ends around September 10th, right about now. Now, if you remember in 2005, September 24th, 2005, we had Hurricane Rita. It was rare for a tropical system to make landfall that far west. It was actually one of the farthest west major hurricanes on record. And then we had Delta in 2020, but that was a really wild season, obviously, which that was pretty far west. That was in October, and we had that all the way into the Lake Arthur area in southwest Louisiana. So I think the chances are getting lower and lower every day we go by, and there shouldn't be any problems in the Western Gulf for at least a week. There's 2 areas of interest in the Eastern Atlantic right now. They should probably both go out to sea and not affect any land.
So you don't expect, just to recap, you don't expect any other major systems coming our way for the rest of the season?
I think there's a very good chance you won't have another Western Gulf system at this point.
Okay.
You're starting to look more toward Mississippi and the Florida Peninsula, and also even the Carolinas. That's your main target areas for middle to end of September and through October.
Okay. So now let's move on to something a little bit more lighthearted, if we can, because I've seen this, and I've even made the reference like a few years ago, and I'm starting to see it more and more now. But people are always like, every time we see like a major hurricane in the Gulf, there's usually some type of snow or freeze storm event, ice event, or that sort of thing. Is there a correlation there, or is that just ironic?
No correlation. It's just pure coincidence, really. So usually active seasons are when you have La Nina in place, which that's just cooler than average Pacific sea surface temperatures, and it reduces the wind shear in the Atlantic. Sometimes you get more snow, but usually the way that works is La Nina transitions into either a neutral phase or a El Nino. El Nino usually have warmer than average temperatures across our area, but a wetter pattern. So you have less extremes during El Nino, and the actual temperature is a little bit below average during the winter just because your temperatures are more stable. During a La Nina winter, your average temperature is actually above average, but you have larger swings. You'll have, the winters that we had temperatures in the teens and even single digits were during La Nina winters. And that looks like we'll probably have a La Nina at least in the early portion of the winter.
Gotcha.
So some snow, we'll see.
Yeah. So, well, that's good news, though. I mean, people can rest a little easier tonight. Not to say something can't pop up, right? I mean, you never know, but I like the fact that you're leaning towards that was it. Like, there's not going to be anything else. I really do.
Yeah. And it's funny when somebody says that, something tends to pop up, doesn't it? Usually.
I know. I'm sitting here. I'm like, oh, shoot. Why'd I bring that up? Like, I'm knocking on wood over here, like on my desk.
Yeah.
But
I think we'll be fine. I mean, honestly, it's pretty rare, but we've had a lot of crazy things happen since 2020, so we'll see. But I think we're statistically we're in a lot better shape than we are in August or late August. That's usually so you had Laura. There was obviously Delta, which was in October, and that actually interacted with a trough similar to this. And that's why you had those wind speeds over 50 and 60 miles an hour way away from the center on the west side, which is very, very rare. But we're not going to see that to the extent that we had with Delta. But I do think, like I said, New Iberia is about the cutoff point for power outages, maybe even a little bit west of there toward Lafayette, but that's Crowley, Louisiana, westward, no significant impacts.
This storm surge, as we know, Louisiana, and I don't know if it's all Louisiana, but I know right there along the coastline is already above sea level, right? And so that's where your major impact is going to come from. I mean, that storm surge.
A lot of the coast that's being impacted here in the next few hours is actually low populated, thankfully. If from a chaser standpoint, you want to get as close to the coast as you can to get the best video you can. With this kind of system, it's actually hard to chase because there's not very many roads that are reliable to get toward the coast. And a lot of those roads will be underwater. So your closest point to this hurricane, if you wanted to get close to it, would be Morgan City or Houma, Louisiana. And they're still 20 to 30 miles inland. So you're going to lose 20 to 30 miles an hour of that wind. You're only going to have 70, maybe 80 mile an hour gusts instead of what you have right on the coast along the Florida Panhandle. You'll go from 0 feet above sea level to 50 feet above sea level just in the first 300 or 400 yards away from the ocean. Rises really fast. That's where you can chase hurricanes a little bit better. So,
and let me just say for everybody watching, if you will, give us a thumbs up, if you will, and share out the broadcast. If you have any questions for meteorologist Eric Graves, be sure and ask him, and I'm sure you don't mind answering some questions. And if you have any family members in the path of this hurricane, please feel free to tag them here and let them ask questions as well. I know Eric's going to keep people updated on his Facebook page throughout this, and so I'm sure they'll be wanting to know information. I'm sure they're going to want to be they're going to wonder about other resources and that sort of thing. And I know Eric's real good about keeping up with all that. So if you will, just go ahead and ask your questions and tag those folks in the comments. Now, Eric, this is kind of a personal question. What, a lot of people in our, and I'm referring to the Southeast Texas area, right? Like that's where most of the people watching me is coming from. I know you have followers from everywhere, but from my standpoint, the Southeast Texas, East Texas region, Southwest Louisiana, that's kind of my core demographic, if you will. And so that being said, are there any predictions right now about what kind of winter we're going to have? Because I know we just had like what we call a cold snap. It wasn't really a cold snap, it was just 20 degrees cooler than what we're used to over the hot summer. So when will we start seeing those cooler temperatures, those fall like temperatures, and that sort of thing? And I'm not trying to put you on
usually you
the
get.
spot.
Say that again, Adam.
I said I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just kind of
No,
curious.
no. Well, so usually you start to get your first round of temperatures in the 50s for lows, usually early October, middle October area. So you're going to get the fronts that we really would call a cool or a cold front, rather than just these fronts that kind of move out the moisture and lower the humidity and lower the heat indexes if you saw temperatures in the 80s. We should get those fronts that bring temperatures down into the upper 70s for highs and upper or low 60s late September, around September 24th. If you remember, Hurricane Rita knocked out so much power, everybody was miserable. Thankfully, a day or so after that, the cold front came through, pushed temperatures down into the 70s for highs, and really helped out with people that were chainsawing a lot of down trees that were on their houses.
I remember that very well because I was actually in Vegas when Rita hit, my wife and I, and we came back and we were like, man, it was nice and cool. And we were like, we had a lot of cleanup to do, but yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. And as far as winter and frozen precipitation, things like that, people always hope for, I've learned as a meteorologist to never bring up that when you're near the coast, because everybody tells their kids that, and then their kids are all excited about it. If it doesn't happen, they're going to remember that for years. You don't have a chance to redeem yourself because there's not too many rounds you get of frozen precipitation near the coast. So you always like to kind of err on the side of caution when you're talking about any kind of frozen precipitation, because it's better to be wrong and say there isn't going to be any snow and then wake up to a beautiful inch or two of snow on the ground. They're usually not too mad at you about that versus if you say there's going to be snow and that doesn't happen.
Right. Absolutely. And we don't want to jinx anything for sure, especially something as serious as snow. So,
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Well, Eric, I certainly appreciate you guys just like sitting here chatting with me. I know we weren't being very, I don't know, urgent, if you will, with things. There was really no need to. I just wanted to sit down and chat with you. And so, and
yeah.
Introduce some of my people to you and that sort of thing. And just have a little discussion. I really appreciate you joining me. I know you're busy. I know you're going to be busy for the next probably 72, 84, whatever. For the next few days, you're going to be really busy. So thank you for coming on. I hope we can do this more often. I really appreciate your expertise in this matter and sharing it with us.
Happy to be here, Adam. Let's do it again.
All right. Thank you, sir. Have a good day. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Eric Graves, and really appreciate him coming on. My name is Adam Brooks with the Brooks Report Live. Hey, if you're watching me, I'd really appreciate a share or a thumbs up or something of that nature. I can see people watching, and I'm not going to call you out by name, but I just hope that you'll say hi or something in the comments. And if you have anything you would like for us to cover or talk about, feel free to send me a personal message on either Adam C. Brooks or the Brooks Report Live page. Really looking forward to that. We try to stay on top of those things as much as possible. I do get a lot of messages. I will tell you that. I do get a lot of messages. I get a lot of spam messages, so it's hard to weed out sometimes. Sometimes I just turn off a button and it's like, okay, it's not there, but it's not personal. So if I miss something that's important, that's something that I should cover or that's serious, please get with me on or try again, whether it be a comment and tagging me on a post I make or something of that nature. So I can go back and I can try to find that message and we can really address it there. So I appreciate you guys joining me. We missed the lunch and combo hour today, but that was intentional because I knew I was doing this and I really didn't want to just keep going and going. So for all of you watching on the Brooks Report Live, join me on my personal page, Adam C. Brooks, where it's a little bit more lighthearted. We talk about all kinds of things, social issues, politics, and all that stuff. And, you know, you'd be surprised. People get pretty passionate about it. They get pretty upset at me sometimes because they just assume certain things about where I stand on things, or they won't just let it be as far as a question. And, you know, it gets very interesting and challenging sometimes, but I think it's important to have that open discussion and to have those type of talks about what's happening in our country, in our county, in our city, in our state, all those things. So join me over there at Adam C. Brooks, if you will. And if you're watching me on there, because I'm actually simulcasting both places right now, and I'm going to ask you to join the Bush Report Live if you're watching me on Adam C. Brooks. So anyways, I know this was real nonchalant. It wasn't all about business here. It was just having a conversation, and I appreciate you guys joining me. My name is Adam Brooks, and if you have any questions, feel free to send me a message. I hope you guys have a good day. Prayers for all those who are in the path of this storm, Hurricane Francine, and also I would really be remiss if I didn't mention this. Today is the 23rd anniversary of September 11th. And so, you know, we have to remember all those that died in that situation, that terrorist attack, that horrible attack on our country. And, you know, prayers go out to their families that are still dealing with that. You know, for those who never saw, you know, their parents again, those who, you know, just it's a travesty and a tragedy. And I pray for that God protects us from anything like that ever again. So just wanted to say that. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Stay in touch with the Brooks Report Live and Adam Brooks, and we'll see you around. Thank you.